All right, everyone, welcome in. We're here today doing a little wrap up of free agency analysis. I'm here with Zach Mioli. Say hi, Zach.
Hey, everybody. How's it going out there?
It's going great here. We're just separated by 1,500 miles and just still gonna wrap up free agency for you guys. So we're gonna go ahead. What's that?
Technology, am I right?
That's awesome. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. The first segment we got loaded here for you is top free agency steals. And I'm going to start out the list with a good buddy of mine. Lick My Gun stole Deshaun Jackson in this draft. He got him for $1. So let me tell you why this is a good move for Lick My Gun. We got a number one wide receiver in Washington. We got a deep threat, so he's a guy he's a big boom bust guy, but he can burn you for 15 points really easily. Cons are he's an older guy, he's got injury concerns, but I think at $1, easily one of the best steals of the draft. Zach, go ahead and introduce the next steal.
Yeah, the next steal I think has got to be Golden Tate going to Bastard Makers. I believe he uses RFA rights on that one. Smart move on his part. Golden Tate, I mean, Calvin Johnson's out. Golden Tate's got to be the new number one guy there in Detroit. Matt Stafford going to throw it all over the field. Jim Bob Cooter, who knows what he's going to do? You know, the Cooter, you never know. Cons, Golden Tate, he can be kind of flashy, he can kind of disappear, you know, you never know. But really, there aren't many cons when you get a number one wide receiver for only $48.
Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer. I mean, he looked pretty solid in the games where Calvin Johnson was injured. So this is a no-brainer here. And the last guy we're going to talk about with steals of draft, Stephon Diggs. So Primetime got a solid deal here. I had Stephon Diggs going for $25. Primetime picks him up for $5. I mean, he paid nickels for this guy. I mean, he's a young wide receiver, second-year guy, had a great rookie season. He's a good talent. There's some question marks there. He's on the Vikings. They're a very run-heavy offense, and you got this new guy coming in, Treadwell. It might take a few take away some targets from Diggs, but I think at $5, definite no-brainer.
Yeah, I think at $5, it's a good value for him. I'm not as high on Stephon Diggs as you seem to be. I don't like any wide receiver playing with Teddy Bridgewater. He's just not going to throw the ball downfield. He's going to throw a lot of short, intermediate stuff, and I think because of Teddy Bridgewater, his ceiling is capped. But at $5, you can't go wrong.
Definitely, and I agree with you. There are some big question marks there, but I really like the pick. So next section, we're going to talk about the franchises in our league that just completely owned free agency. So number one, we got Primetime. We just talked about his pickup with Diggs. But in free agency, he solidified his roster. He picked up a bunch of good depth, and he looks really solid for a good playoff run. I'll give you a few of the highlights here. Gary Barnage, $15, picked him up on RFA, no big deal. Zach Miller, $10. Tyrod Taylor, $8. What do you think?
The Tyrod Taylor one is just mind-blowing. How the hell do the Bobcats let Tyrod Taylor get away? They had the RFA rights, but they were just overzealous, picking up all kinds of people in free agency, and didn't have the roster spot. I mean, come on! How do you let a starting quarterback get away from you for $8? Mismanagement. Mismanagement.
All right, so who else do you think owned the draft?
I think my fellow Southender, Hold My Dick, I think he had a lot of holes to fill. And he did it pretty well. He got Theo Riddick for $1. How did we let that happen? How does anyone let that happen? He also picked up Martellus Bennett for $1. I mean, Martellus Bennett was awesome last year in Chicago. Now he's going to the Patriots, opposite of Gronk. Remember what they did with Aaron Hernandez and Gronk together. I mean, that 2 tight end set is going to be dangerous. And when Tom Brady comes back, I think that's a just great pickup. And then you get some depth with Chris Hogan. Again, for $1. I mean, Hold My Dick got some great players on the cheap. So I think he did a great job in free agency.
Absolutely. I think Chris Hogan was a great pickup. I like the upside in him, and he's a young guy and on the Patriots pass-happy offense. I think it's a no-brainer. So now we talk about the franchises who won. Now we got to talk about the franchises who lost. So I think you got to start this list off, Zach. Go ahead.
Yeah, Geno 911. What the hell, man? You had tons of roster spots to fill, and you didn't even fill them all. You got lots of cap money. You didn't spend it. I know he got kind of screwed on a couple RFAs, just like last year, but you got to spend the money, man. You got $85 in cap that went unspent. He's still got some work to do, and the pickings are slim out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go in pretty hard the first 24 hours of free agency and kind of stake a claim on some guys. And like the guys that we just talked about in the last segment, you got to pick up those guys. You got to start upbidding those guys. You got $85 left in cap space, and Theo Riddick goes through for $1. Gary Barnidge goes through for $15. You got to pick these guys up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next franchise we're going to talk about that really, I'm not sure what to say. So the Bobcats, I'm going to put you guys on blast real quick. So everybody talks about in football, you gotta pass the eye test, right? So a football player has to look like a football player, has to play like a football player. That's the eye test. The Bobcats players, they failed the ear test. So the ear test is who? So I'm going to list a few guys that they got in free agency. Kenjon Barner, Daniel Braverman, Jarrell Presley, Steele Johnson, Hakeem Valles, Dwayne Washington. Now, if you're saying who, it might be because I stuck a Olympic silver medalist in diving in there, but it's hard to tell who's the difference. So, picking these guys up in day one of free agency, big question mark. And maybe it pays off. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe down the line it'll pay off for him, but really in day one of free agency, when there was a lot of big names left on the board, I mean, I understand going out and getting your guy, but any one of those guys would have been available towards the end of free agency or even after. He could have picked him up whenever he wanted, stashed him on the taxi squad, see what happens. But to go after him day one, and then because you went after these guys, you had to let Tyrod Taylor walk. That just blows my mind. Blows my mind.
Yeah, big misstep for the Bobcats. We'll see if it pays off, but it's not looking good right now.
Yep, that's trusting your Excel spreadsheet a little too much, if you ask me.
A little too much.
So the last one that we got to talk about, of course, is the Bastard Makers. They did great by getting Golden Tate, but they went over their cap. They're going to have to cut some people. They're going to have to trade to just get eligible for the season. It's not a pretty sight when you do that, and I think trading away draft picks every single year didn't help with that. So Bastard Makers have some real work to do to get themselves back into playing condition.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're going to have to probably cut a player that would make a roster in this league just to get under the cap. That's a big misstep in free agency. You gotta manage your budget. It's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So final note we're going to talk about is kind of how a little bit of everybody failed in free agency. So most everybody has a lot of money that went unspent in free agency, which may be strategic at some point so you can pull a trade and get, take on a bigger contract. But this is just when you have value guys going in free agency for way, way low. I mean, this is kind of unacceptable when you got $50, $60, $100 left in free agency. You got to spend the money. You can't save it.
Yeah, you do. And team licked my gun. I mean, they got $150 left.
Yeah.
And, it's just mismanagement of that cap. But, again, they did get some value pickups that saved them that money. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens once the year gets started. I mean, they could make a move. You never know. But, yeah, I think Magic Ike said in the email thread, you don't get a gold star for spending less money. So spend that money.
Yeah, that's exactly. And I came in at, I think he's $1.70 under the cap or something. He's right there. So, yeah, I mean, that's his game plan. I like it. So.
Yep, he did a great job, I think. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you were able to come on and talk free agency with me because I've been just obsessing about this the last week or so after the draft. It's been great.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.